Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Hello and welcome to the February installment of Smash That Small Paper Bag collab that's hosted by Deb Huck's Crafty Cottage here on YouTube. And there are a number of wonderful ladies who are participating in this collab. I do have all of their information listed below in the description box, so I do hope you guys go and check out to see what they've created. And if you guys have been following along with me so far, last month I did start using the Bo Bunny Felicity paper collection. It is a 6x6 pad, and I'm happy to say that I have used this pad up and I'll be moving on to another paper pad. And before I got going on it, I just wanted to show you guys that when I cut out my dies or use my paper, I pretty much use all of it. And what I like to do is I'll cut out the main things that I'm using. So last month I did cut out this heart, but I didn't use it until this time. But all these butterflies I used last time on the little note cards I shared with you guys. But then as I'm cutting out paper, if there's still room left on my sheet of paper, I'll use little small dies, like here's some little tag dies just to finish it up, or oftentimes I will use word dies just so I'm not wasting my paper, and then I throw it out because I do use a lot of word dies. I do also use a little banner dies like this on my projects, so I do use up my paper in that manner just so I'm not wasting it, and then I can go ahead and throw it even if I don't get to using some of these tags until later. At least they're already cut out and ready to go, and I'm not holding on to small paper scraps. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit with you guys before I showed you everything that I created this month. And so to begin with, I did create some little embellishments. Oftentimes when I do swaps with people, I like to include embellishment bags, and I've kind of ran out, or I don't have a lot left in my stash, and so I did create some embellishments to hand out. And on some of these I also have some bag toppers that I cut out with the paper collection, but I ran out of the paper, so I wasn't able to put bag toppers on all of them, and eventually I will decorate them before I send them out. But they all look the same. I just used the paper collection. I cut out some cute little jars and butterflies. And these little jars do have the little tags on them. Some of these I did use cardstock, but most of it is the paper collection, and the cardstock I did use for the base of these and also the base of the butterflies. But they're all decorated with little flowers and tags. So I have 6 of those that I did. Next, I wanted to share with you guys the card that I created, and this one is an easel card, so it does stand up like this. I do like to create easel cards. It is a 6x6 card. And I did start off with a cardstock base on this also. And then there are some cardstock layers, but most of it is the paper collection. And so I'll hold that up close. So I do have these cute little hearts that I die cut out, and those are from Spellbinders. I also cut out this big circle, and I believe that's a tonic die. And from there, on the background one is another Spellbinders die that I did use cardstock on, and you can see I layered some little bling on this one. And then also I added the word cherish, and again that would be something that I would cut out of the scraps of the paper. Like if I cut out this heart, I'd make sure I added that somewhere on the paper just to use it up so I'm not wasting my paper. And on the inside I just have another layer of the paper collection. I added some more bling and this cute little heart, and then also the die cut that says I love you. And that's from the brand that, I think it's Momenta, that Hobby Lobby carries, kind of the off brand that they carry in their store. So I love how that card turns out. And then I have a whole bunch of little random things that I used up that I'll share with you guys that I created. And if there's anything in particular that you want to know the die, just make sure you tell me what it is, and I'll let you know, because I forgot to pull out my dies before I started recording. So at the very end I was just down to some paper scraps, and so what I ended up doing is just creating what they call Franken tags, is what the current terminology is. But when I first started stamping way back when, we used to call these like scrapbook, not scrapbook, but crazy quilt cards. And back then, instead of using our sewing machines, we just used a rubber stamp that looked like stitching. But now I actually used my sewing machine on this one. And then I also added some cards, some craft cardstock scraps that I had left over. Last month I created those 3x3 note cards that I used the base for the craft paper. And so I had some of those left, so I did use that. And then there's some white cardstock scrap paper too that I used. These clocks were part of the paper collection that I cut out. And then also the word discover, which was out of a scrap. There's another item in here that I cut out. And I just cut that out of one of the scraps. And then I also created this Franken tag. And I ended up using this written paper right here, which was again from my scrap pile because I was getting down to not having anything left of this paper collection, and I needed one more little piece, so I added that one because it matched pretty well with the paper collection. And this one I just die cut the word love. So I created the 2 little Franken tags that I'll be able to use in some junk journals. A lot of us have, there's a Tim Holtz die that looks like this that you can stick little tags in. And so I did, the brown paper is from the Bo Bunny paper collection. And then these little tags are ones that I have left over from my stash. Oftentimes, again, when I get down to scraps, when I'm die cutting other things, I will cut out tags. And so these were leftovers from some Graphic 45 paper collection that I did. And so those tags seem to match pretty good with this. So I just added them to these, and these will be able to put into, I'll use these in journals, so that when I stamp the word dream on it, this one's believe, and this one says journal on it. And then I created some more tags, and this brown paper is from the Bo Bunny paper collection, and the ones that have clocks on it, again, I cut those out from the paper collection. I fussy cut them out, and my original intention was to use these inside of these that I created, but there was so much brown, so that's why I ended up just using some tags I already had in my stash, and I'll just use these on something else in my junk journals. But again, you can just see where I cut all those little clocks out from the paper collection and created some tags. And these tags, I have some punches that I used for those. The next thing that I created, or one of the items that I created, were these little envelopes that you can stick in, and I have a die cut for these, and I believe, again, this die cut is from the Hobby Lobby Momenta. It's kind of the off-brand. And so at Christmas time, I did create a whole bunch of Christmas cards that I used this paper on it, and it was all full of bingo cards that said Merry, and I had a couple left over. And so I thought they would work on these envelopes since they were that nice kind of Christmas color green. And so I'll either be able to stick gift cards in these next year, or I can also add them to a journal, or I could add some sort of little small embellishment and Happy Mail inside of these. So there's a lot of different uses for these. So I did create those out of the paper collection. And then here's just a whole bunch of random stuff. Here's another little envelope that I created. I created lots of little round embellishments. Again, I cut out the clocks that were on some of the paper. And again, I can either end up adding these to cards, I could make some embellishment packages with them, or use them in junk journals. So lots of different uses. And this one was some offcuts from some of the other dies that I cut out to create cards last month. And so I had these left over that I didn't use, so I made a little embellishment out of those. Here's another little envelope. That one I did add the little clock that I cut out for that one. Another little envelope. And then here's just a little snippet or embellishment that I'll use in a junk journal. This one just says documented. Some more round ones. And these ones, instead of just leaving them plain, I went ahead and punched a hole and made them into tags. Some more little round embellishments. And then here's another junk journal one. Something that I like to do for my junk journal. Sometimes when you have a shape, and I'll often do this with round shapes, but I add a little brad, so then you can move this, and then you have a hidden journal spot. So you could put this on top of a journal page and add it to your page, and then again you'll have just a little hidden journal spot if you want. Some more round embellishments. This one I added to a doily. I did create some little page flags out of some of the embellishments or the paper that I had left over. Another little embellishment. Another little page flag. This one says believe. And again, I'm just layering up scraps in the little different smaller die cuts that I cut out. Here I created a little pocket that I can add to a junk journal, so you glue this down and then you could use, if this was your tag, you could stick it behind there like that. And again, the little word right here, the word paper was used as a scrap piece of paper that I had in my stash. And I just used that because, again, I was getting kind of low, but I wanted to add a little bit more to this little embellishment. I did create a small Rolodex card. I do have a Rolodex that sometimes I create things out of, and I just use scraps for it. It's just a little Rolodex that I use sitting on my desk. And then here's the little offcuts that I had left over, and I'll just use these in journals, but you can kind of see what I'm going to use them for my pieces. Like, you know, here was one of those little banner pieces. I have banners cut in here. I do have a couple more of those clocks that I fussy cut out that I'll add to it. And all these little green ones were left over from these Christmas ones. Once I die cut that out, I just had, you know, little bits of paper, and instead of wasting it, I just like to cut out little things that I'll add to future projects. And so I just wanted to share those with you guys as far as what I did with those. One more thing I wanted to share with you guys. So now, like in here, I have the little banner pieces and the small tags. And I do have a whole bunch of little small plastic containers like this that I use in my junk journaling stash. And so I'll add all the little small tags that I didn't incorporate into something in here. So when I do a junk journal, or I need a little tag for a gift, or if I'm working on a card and I want to add a tag to it, I usually start by going through this little stash here of small tags that I have before I die cut anything new. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I do the same thing with the little banner pieces. I have another little container like this that I stick all my banner pieces in. So I go there first when I create something to see if I have a similar color that matches. And if I don't, then I go ahead and cut something new. But I just wanted to share that little organization thing with you guys. So the next thing I wanted to share with you guys is the paper pads that I'll be working on next. And I decided to go ahead and grab 2 pads from my stash, and I'll kind of work on them both simultaneously. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. I'll try and point out which ones I use the Prima pad for and which ones I use the Bo Bunny pad. I just thought it'd be fun to try and work on 2 pads at once. So I did pick out this Bo Bunny paper pad. And this one is called Madeline, and this one has some beautiful, like, kind of a nice pastel green. There's some pink in here. It does have a little bit of a vintage feel. There are some browns and some burgundies in this paper pad. But I think it's a really pretty paper pad. So that's going to be one of the paper pads I'm going to be working on next. And then the other one that I picked out was this Prima pad. It's called Timeless Memories, and I actually have 2 of this one. And so this one I thought is another very vintage style type pad. And so I'll probably be making a lot of stuff for my junk journals out of this one, and maybe a couple of cards. This one is double-sided, which is nice. But it's kind of plain. And so I decided to try and use up one of these since I have 2 of those pads, and then also this one. So those are the next 2 pads that I'll be working on for the next few months. So again, I just wanted to thank everybody so much for watching my video today. And again, this is the February installment of the Smash That Paper Pad collab with Deb Huck. I do have everybody else's information that's participating in this collab listed below in the description box. So I do hope you go and check out to see what they are creating with their small paper pads and how they're progressing. If you have any comments or questions, please feel to leave them below in the description box. Until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.